Good morning to my dear students. Students, in today's video, we are going to discuss about the structure and the function of cell wall. And I will make a comparison between cell wall and plasma membrane. So students, as in our previous videos, we discussed that cell membrane or the plasma membrane is the outermost covering of all living organisms. So I want to tell you one more thing. In some plants, or sorry, in some fungus or in all the plants, there is one more outer covering outside to the cell membrane or plasma membrane, and this is called as cell wall. And you have to remember this cell wall is present only in the plant cells or few of the fungus. And this cell wall is a very rigid outermost covering which provides a fixed shape to the plants, or I have to say that the cell of the plants as well as some of the fungus. Okay, and you must have to remember the point that it always presents outside to the cell membrane. ये cell membrane के बाहर की ओर होती है. And while I will uh, think about it or I will talk about it, so I have to say that this cell wall is a non-living membrane. While we were studying about plasma membrane, then I told you that plasma membrane is a living membrane. So instead of it, the cell wall is a non-living as well as freely permeable membrane. While we were discussing about plasma membrane, so I told you that plasma membrane is a selectively or semi-permeable membrane, while it is a semi-permeable membrane. And while I will talk about its structure or its composition, so in plants it is made up of cellulose. So you must have to remember, because in 1 mark question it is oftenly asked what makes cell wall. So you have to remember that cell wall is made up of cellulose, or in case of the plants, in case of the fungus, it is made up of chitin. Understood? Now I am talking about functions of cell wall. Now the most and very important function of cell wall is it provides structural strength to the plant cell. Means as if you try to see or try to observe the structure of plant cell, so you will find out that plant cell have a rigid structure, a fixed structure or fixed shape, and this is only due to the uh, cell wall, which is composed of cellulose. Okay, it means it provides strength to the plant cells. Now the second function, it permits the cell of plants, fungus and bacteria to withstand very dilute or hypotonic external media without bursting. Now one more thing, in my previous video I told you about the hypotonic solution, and when I told you that when a cell is kept into a hypotonic solution, then what happens, the water moves inside the cell, and while the water is moving towards the or inside the cell, the cell will start to swell up, and definitely one condition will come when the cell might be burst. ठीक है, तो since the cell wall is too hard, तो it prevents bursting of cell, or I have to say that it helps to maintain the extra swelling of the cell, or it prevents the bursting of cell. Now finally third, it since it is very rigid, it is very hard, it gives a definite shape to the cell. Now the fourth function, because of the cell wall, plants can withstand in much greater changes in the surrounding medium than the animals. Now you can see that the plants are lying outside, and they can tolerate much stressful condition as compared to the animal cells. This is only due to the cell wall, because cell wall is helping them or helping plants to tolerate the extreme harsh condition or stressful condition. Now last and the final fifth one function of the cell wall is cell wall protects the cell against pathogens and mechanical injuries. Since it is very hard, it is very rigid, it is providing mechanical strength, so definitely it is helping plants against the infection of the pathogens, as well as it is protecting plant cells from the mechanical or external injuries. So these are the different functions of cell wall. So I am very quickly I am revising कि cell wall is the outermost covering of the plant cells, ठीक है, which is composed of cellulose. It's a non-living freely permeable membrane, and it has many ways in plants. Number one, it provides a mechanical strength, it provides strength to the plant cells, ठीक है, and it prevents mechanical injuries or infection against pathogens, ठीक है, and it gives a definite shape to the plant cells. And finally I am coming to the comparison between cell wall and the plasma membrane. So since I told you that cell wall is present only in the plants, while the plasma membrane is present in both, either it is a plant cell or animal cell or any kind of cell. The plasma membrane or the cell membrane is present in all kind of cells. Now the second difference, the cell wall is the outermost covering of the plant cells, while the plasma membrane is the outermost covering of animal cells. Now the third difference, it is present outside the cell membrane, which is cell wall is present outside the plasma membrane, while the plasma membrane or cell membrane encircles or surrounds the cytoplasm, or I have to say that it is present outside the cytoplasm. ठीक है. Now the fourth difference, cell wall is rigid and comparatively thick, while the plasma membrane is flexible. ठीक है, because we have already studied कि it helps in the phagocytosis or endocytosis. ठीक है, तो it is flexible and comparatively quite thinner than the cell wall. And the most important difference, cell wall is non-living and freely permeable, while the plasma membrane is living cell and it's a selectively permeable membrane. Last difference, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, while the plasma membrane is made up of what? Lipids, proteins and little bit carbohydrates. So these are the differences between cell wall and plasma membrane. I hope so you understood today's concept. Still, if you have any query, please ask. Thank you, bye bye and have a nice day.